Hey there, you're listening to BD4, where there's no better way to get your Yankees and Knicks analysis. Yanks every series, Knicks every game, and MMA on occasion. Here's your host, RJ Carbone.
And a high drive in the left center field. Stanley's going to watch another one fly. Are you kidding me? DiVincenzo a three. Bang! Bang! Knicks take a
take this chance to apologize to absolutely nobody.
At the wall. See ya! See ya! See ya! Mr. Nova.
Anthony for three. Bang! That one goes down and the game is tied.
You shook up the world again.
I did it again. But God did it, man. I really just had
Gonna have to. Brunson running away. Oh my! He has been the best player to put on that uniform.
Ball game over. Yankees win. The Yankees win.
Okay, well, as we get deeper and deeper into the season, we're starting to see the real flaws, man. Woo! Welcome, everybody. Welcome. Welcome to episode 846, where we are going to discuss the Yankees' most recent series loss to the San Francisco Giants this time. They are now a very, very, very disappointing 8-7 to start the season here. And it's kind of I don't want to say concerning on April 14th, but you look at the teams they've beaten, and it was, Milwaukee, Nestor Cortez, and it was the Pittsburgh Pirates, who've become a laughingstock somehow even more this year. And that's it, because they lost the series to a solid Arizona team. They lost a series to who I think might be a sleeper in the American League in the Detroit Tigers. And now they lost the series to a red-hot San Francisco Giants team who has just as good as a shot to come out of that division as anybody. That's right. And that includes the Dodgers, the Padres. Maybe I'll look back at this in a few months and realize how stupid I sound, but they're starting to consistently lose to quality competition, which means these series victories against the subpar competition doesn't really hold a lot of weight. It's early, and I've said this before. I like to use the first half of the season as just a way to get to know the team, finding out what their identity is, not really drawing any big takeaways from it. The concerns and the optimism and the pessimism and the skepticism, I don't know. All that stuff, that comes in the second half. After guys return from injury, after you know who certain guys are, having a good year, not having a good year, after the team makes the trades and moves they need to make. So I don't want to draw anything macro from this first 15 games of the season where the Yankees are a very, very mediocre 8-7. But again, we have gotten to a point already where we have to, first of all, you have to find something to talk about, right? You can't just completely throw it all away. There are things to talk about, and we've gotten to a point now in these first 2 weeks and change where there are legitimate questions about this team that I think are worth exploring right now so we can get ahead of it for later. And we're going to talk about some positives of this show, too. I'm not just going to sit here and talk negative. Because there were a lot of good takeaways from this series as well. But I definitely think there are some things to look out for that we should be discussing. And that's what we're going to do in this show. So with that said, let's get right into it. The Yankees lost 2 out of 3 this past weekend at home against the San Francisco Giants. I'm about to sneeze, but it's like not coming out. Ugh. 2 out of 3. So they lose another series. And this series began. It began in one of the most disgusting downer notes it could have. I don't know. That didn't make any sense. The Yankees lost the first game of this series on Friday night, 9-1. They lost in 6 innings, or 5.5 innings. You had the righty Marcus Stroman going up against the lefty Robbie Ray. And Marcus Stroman gave the Yankees probably the most uncompetitive garbage excuse of a start that I've ever seen. At least from a Yankee, because you can argue Nestor Cortez's game 2 of the season was pretty uncompetitive. But this was really brutal. You know, this is one of the worst starts I've ever seen. I mean, you had... I can't say it's the number one worst start because another guy we might rip a little in this episode, you know, in his first season here, if you can remember, gave up 7 runs without recording an out against the KC Royals in his final start of the season one year, you know, who we'll talk about. So that's one. Obviously, the Tanaka game against Boston. Yeah, I think that was the London series. So there have been some uncompetitive starts, but this is up there. Uncompetitive garbage. Stroman finishes going 2/3 of an inning, allowing 5 runs on 4 hits, 3 walks, 1 strikeout, 1 home run, 46 pitches, and he gets the loss. You know, as I read that there, I'm kind of annoyed because it didn't sound as bad as the game was. It was a lot worse than that number suggested. Stroman in this game, it didn't seem like he wanted any part of competing. He was consistently outside the zone, and he refused to come inside. Now, a lot of Yankees fans after this start on social media, you know, they took to social media and they were just, you know, learn how to throw a strike. Stop throwing outside. Stop nibbling. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I've said it before. I just don't think Stroman has the stuff. Like, his stuff is so bad, you almost prefer him pitching that way versus coming near the zone and throwing strikes. I would rather him walk the park than give up bomb after bomb, because you saw what happened when he pitched inside. We are in a league where guys hit home runs now, right? The base hit, singles, small ball, that doesn't win like it used to. You need you need velocity. And when you have a fastball that's consistently sitting 89 and you have breaking pitches that aren't breaking, and when your catcher is consistently setting up halfway in the left-handed batter's box, that's a problem. That's a big-time problem. Top of the first inning, it started right away. Yastrzemski picks up a leadoff base hit on an 89-mile-an-hour sinker, middle of the plate. Young-Ho Lee gets started in Boy Diddy. Couple of at-bats later with a 3-run home run on another 89-mile-an-hour sinker, middle of the plate. 3-0 Giants just like that. Air out of the stadium. Everybody's Friday night ruined. But it wasn't over yet. Lamonte Wade comes up to the plate. Stroman gives him an 88-mile-an-hour four-seamer, middle of the plate, and he rips a 2-run double to make it 5-zip. Then he throws a splitter with no movement to Fitzgerald, who singles to put runners on first and third, 2 outs, and that's it. That's when Boone pulls Stroman. We've had enough of you. Puts in Yarbrough, and Yarbrough does a nice job eating some innings. It was the worst start I've ever seen from a Yankees pitcher since that Rodon game. But, like, Stroman he didn't even want to compete out there. It was not convenient, or that, like, as soon as this outing ends and the game's over and you get to the post game, Stroman's not available. Had to think the Yankees were saving face, and they tell us that he went to get X-rays on his knee. So he's now on the fake DL with de-inflammation. I'm sure that's 100% legitimate because, Clark Schmidt being on the mend this week is definitely not related to that. So, yeah, that's all I have there. And hopefully that was the final start of Marcus Stroman's Yankees career. I think we're all kind of over him now. Again, I like the guy. I've appreciated his different persona. His competitive edge. I look past the off the field and the social media stuff. I've always done that. Obviously, he's got his own opinions and kind of started when he didn't want to get the opening day start last year when the Yankees asked him to get it. That kind of put him on the wrong side of some Yankees fans. Had a couple of things in the middle of the season, I think, and what really bothered Yankees fans in camp this year was when they asked him to pitch out of the bullpen, and he said, no, I won't. I'm a starter. Again, he's not wrong. He doesn't have a single above-average pitch, so you don't want that coming out of the bullpen, but I also don't think he's good as a starter. So hopefully this is it, and the Yankees can just cut ties with him. But I mean, they have a perfect opportunity here with the knee injury to really slow walk it here. But yeah, the guy doesn't have good enough stuff. So the bullpen comes in, Yarbrough escapes, eats a couple of innings, and then it's Hamilton, Hill, Gomez after that. They were all pretty bad. Hill had a rough outing. Gomez was brutal, walking the park and throwing 88-mile-an-hour four-seamers. So bad that the weather wasn't good, but they had to check on him to see if he was okay. And the Yankee bats on the other end didn't do shit. 1 run, 2 hits, 5 walks. Bottom of the second inning, Austin Wells with the RBI double off the top of the wall. It was reviewed, call stood. That made it 5-1 Giants. Nobody else did shit. And then once you get to the middle of the 5th inning there, that's when Boone concedes and he says, I quit. Are you shocked that Boone quit? No. He's a participation boy. He's always been soft. He's never had a competitive edge in his body. So he quit because that's what Aaron Boone does. And that was the first game of the series. The second game had a little more joy. You got some good things to look at. The Yankees win the second game on Saturday, 8-4. The righty Warren going up against the righty Hicks. The Yankee bats produced 8 runs on 11 hits, 4 walks. They struck out 8 times. Hit 2 sac flies, they stole a base, and they were 3 for 6 with runners in scoring position. Bottom of the first inning, Cody Bellinger rips an RBI triple off the wall. And then Goldschmidt picks up a fly ball for a sac fly to make it 2-0 Yankees. No score, or no more scoring until the bottom of the fifth. At least for the Yankees. It was in a tie game at that time. They get to the bottom of the fifth. Game's tied at 2. But the Yankees string together 5 base runners in a row. We'll talk about that later. But, Hicks gets pulled. It was Bellinger with an RBI base hit, Goldschmidt with an RBI double, Volpe with a sac fly against Rodriguez, and Dominguez with a 2-run base hit against Rodriguez to make it 7-2. Bottom 6, Rice hits the solo home run versus former Yankee Lou Trevino, 8-4. So Hicks goes 4 innings and he gives up 7 runs, or he goes 4+, gives up 7 runs, and the San Francisco bullpen allows 1 run in the 4 innings that they pitched. Rice finishes this game 2 for 5 with a home run, walk, and an RBI. Judge goes 2 for 4 with a walk. Bellinger 2 for 5, triple, 2 RBIs. Goldschmidt goes 1 for 3 with a double, sac fly, and 2 RBIs. He had a couple of very nice plays at first base. Volpe goes 0 for 2, walks, picks up a sac fly RBI. Dominguez goes 2 for 4, a couple of RBIs and a stolen base. On the mound, Will Warren had a rebound start. We'll talk about him in this episode. And in the bullpen, it was Cruz to Weaver to Leiter to Williams. I thought Cruz pitched the 6th, and it was with the Yankees up 7-2. He did not have any feel for his split. The command was off with it. He walks, or he gives up a leadoff base hit to Willie Adames on a 94-mile-an-hour four-seamer middle out. Jazz Chisholm makes an error on the next play to put runners on first and second. He then walks Matt Chapman, losing the zone with his sinker and splitter. That loads the bases. Nobody's out. And then Wilmer Flores, former Met crybaby, picks up a 2-run base hit with 2 outs on a 92-mile-an-hour sinker middle of the plate. Made it 7-4. Giants pulled it to within 3. That's when Cruz was pulled for Weaver. So Weaver pitched the end of the 6th and all of the 7th. He goes an inning and a third, 2 base runners, no runs. So I thought Boone did a nice job there, going to his best when he needed outs. Thought that was a good move. And so Cruz's final line was 2/3 of an inning, 2 runs, no earned runs, 2 hits, a walk. Mark Leiter got the 8th. Put 2 on. Nobody scored. Devin Williams got the 9th. We'll talk about him in a little bit. Got the save. Or wasn't a save, but he got the job done. And that was game 2 on Saturday. Again, 8-4 victory. Yesterday, game 3, the Yankees lose 5-4. Carlos Rodon going up against Logan Webb, the righty. Yankees score 4 runs on 6 hits, 4 extra base hits, 4 walks, 9 strikeouts. They go 3 for 10 in scoring position. Against Logan Webb, they got 3 runs on him in 5 innings. Bottom of the first, Goldy picks up an RBI base hit. Bottom 2 is Skara, rips an RBI double. Rice with an RBI single. It's 3-0 Yankees. And then they had him on the ropes a couple of times after that. Bottom of the 4th, the Yankees put 2 runners on with nobody out, and they strand him. Skara pops up on a 93-mile-an-hour four-seamer up. Cabrera grounds out. He pounds a sinker into the dirt. Rice strikes out on 3 consecutive fastballs. He goes, it's cutter, and then a 93-mile-an-hour four-seamer, middle of the plate. Strikes out. Bottom of the 5th inning, the Yankees strand 2 guys with 1 out. Jazz grounds out on a 90-mile-an-hour cutter up in the zone. And then Volpe Strikes out swinging on 4 pitches. It's a breaking ball low and out that I think that was the swing where he lost the bat and somebody got his torpedo bat in the stands. The Giants go to their pen. The Yankees get 1 run on their pen in 4 innings. The bottom of the 7th, they're down 2. Michael Kay gets fooled badly with the tying run at the plate in Bellinger. Bellinger drives a, moderate pop fly to center field. Kay loses his shit. You could tell he lost his shit. He was very excited, wanted it to go out, wasn't close. Bottom 8th, the Yankees were down 2. Jazz hits a solo home run versus Rogers to cut it to 5-4. And then later with 2 outs, Ascara is at bat. And I know he's not expected to do much, a pretty unacceptable at bat. You're a rookie backup catcher, and he's swinging 3-0, ends up grounding out. It's a 1-run game there. You should have the red light at least on 3-0 there. You really should be trying to get on base. And then bottom 9 against Ryan Walker, the righty. Wells pinch hits. He flies out, and Kay's kind of fooled there again. Rice hits a weak ground ball out to third base despite getting a pretty good pitch in his hot zone low and in. And then Judge strikes out looking to end the game. And that's that. So that's your offense. Not much. Had a chance to do more on Logan Webb. Couldn't. Didn't do too much on the bullpen. And then you get to Carlos Rodon. Carlos Rodon yesterday, 5 2/3 innings, 4 runs, 3 hits, 3 walks, 8 strikeouts, 2 home runs allowed, 100 pitches, and he gets the much-deserved loss. And it was the story of his season, where the stuff looks sharp. He was racking up strikeouts and getting swings and misses, but he continues to hang his off speed. And usually when he gives up home runs, it's off the 4-seam fastball because it's just not a very well-located pitch for him. His last 3 home runs have come off speed, which is not usually the case. Right, top of the 4th inning, the Yankees have a 3-0 lead. Jung-Ho Lee, his first home run of the game, it's a solo shot, and he hangs a slider. Hangs him a bad slider, and he gets punished. Whatever, 3-1. Top of the 6th, though, he gives up the lead. Gives up a 3-run bomb. And he gives him... The pitch calling here was questionable, to say the least. He hangs him a fat curveball. I mean, this pitch looked like a friggin' ephus. Throws him a curveball, and he punishes it for a 3-run home run to put the Giants up 4-3. He didn't want to give him another slider because he had just given up a home run to Jung-Ho Lee on the slider. But he goes to a curveball, which is just another off-speed breaking pitch. Like, the 4-seamer was working. You could have went to that. You could have elevated 95 up over the zone. Even if you want to go slider, you could have done that. You know, the previous at-bat that he gave up a home run to Lee was just a bad slider. Could have went back to that. Like, the curveball there, that's a get-me-over pitch for you. You added that in last year. It's not really, well, you had the pitch, but you don't throw that much. Right? He's fastball, slider, changeup, curveball. I know he mixes in the 1-seam sinker, but that's not your best pitch. It's not even close to being your best pitch. It's a get-me-over average pitch. And that's where you're going to throw a red-hot Jung-Ho Lee, who is a pretty good hitter. Then he loses Matt Chapman, walks him, can't find the zone with his off-speed to him, and that's when he's pulled for Mark Leiter. So, I think, you know, we talk about it all the time when Rodon experiences adversity. When one thing goes wrong with Carlos Rodon, it throws his entire outing off. We've seen this with him as a Yankee. This was normal for him with the Giants. And so he gives up in the top of the 6th inning before the Lee home run. He starts the inning by allowing a leadoff base hit to Cuss. Ball bounces off Opie's glove. Probably should have made the play. But then with 1 out in the inning, he walks Adames. It's just starting to unravel more and more. And you could have argued that right there, 5 1/3 under his belt, a couple of guys on. You got your reliable lefty Tim Hill in the bullpen with the lefty Jung-Hoo Lee coming up to the plate. You could have argued that's when you go to Lee. That's when you go to Hill. That's his lane. But Boone keeps Rodon in to face the red-hot Jung-Hoo Lee for the 3rd time. And the pitch call was a curveball. So, I did not like the execution there. But as far as Carlos Rodon goes, he continues to be an absolute, yes, disappointment, but I want to find a better word. What's the word I'm looking for? He's a conundrum. He is, I don't know if that's the word. He's very hard to figure out because he's clearly talented. He's clearly got strikeout stuff, but sometimes he tries too much to hunt for the strikeout, and I think that's what got him bit in this game, and that's what's gotten him bit recently. He is super disappointing, and if I could go back in time and go back to the winter of 2023, I would absolutely 10 times out of 10 undo that contract the Yankees gave him. He has been nothing but a big, fat, annoying disappointment. But there is a lot of season left to play. The bullpen, it was Leiter, Hamilton, Hill. Leiter gets the end of the 6th inning, pitches all the 7th. Top of the 7th comes. He puts the Yankees in a further hole. Schmidt with a leadoff double. It's a 93-mile-an-hour hanging sinker. Goldschmidt makes an error on a ground ball through the right side. That's when Leiter gets pulled. It's 5-3 Giants. Hamilton comes in at the end of the 7th, pitches some of the 8th. Top of the 7th, though, he retires 2 batters in a row to escape it. So Leiter's final line is 2/3 of an inning, 1 run on a strikeout. It's an unearned run. Top 8, Hamilton records 1 out, but he walks 2. That's what he's pulled for Tim Hill. He doesn't have feel for his fastball. 4-seamer and 2-seamer, we're not finding the zone. And the velocity on his fastball is still down. So that's good. Tim Hill does the job in the remainder of the 8th inning. Gets a ground ball out, picks up a strikeout. He's striking out a lot more batters than he did last year. He had 3 strikeouts in an inning and 2/3 in this one. No runs allowed. So that's it. That was your series. 2 out of 3. The Yankees lose again. They continue to lose series in the Big 2025, which is not a good thing. I want to talk some positives, and I think one of the bigger takeaways I have, for as big a takeaway as you could have so early in the season, the early returns on Paul Goldschmidt have been very good and very promising. And I kind of briefly touched on it last episode, how there are similarities, and he's reminding me a little bit of DJ LeMahieu when he first came here. You're talking about a guy they signed, not everybody's first choice, right? I was hoping for Christian Walker. Right at the time when they signed DJ, Yankees fans were hoping for, Machado, but he's a veteran player with a strong track record of consistency. A career 300 bat. He's been doing nothing but hitting hard line drive base hits the other way for this team. Picking up hits at the top of the order. Talking about a right-handed bat who mashes lefties. He's batting .550 against lefties this year with a 1425 OPS in 20 at-bats so far. He's a contact bat, high batting average guy. Every team needs at least one of those guys. And he hits with runners in scoring position. 500 average, 5 RBIs, and 1138 OPS through 10 at-bats so far. So I'm not saying Paul Goldschmidt is going to hit 330 with a 900 OPS like LeMahieu did back in his prime, but I am saying like the expectations are kind of raising a little bit for me regarding Goldschmidt. Entering the season, I was like, if he could just be an average to above average bat, 100 WRC plus, which would land him somewhere in the 700s, that'd be a win. Is there a world out there where Paul Goldschmidt hits 270 for the Yankees? Gives you an OPS of 800? Is that too optimistic to ask for? Does he have that left in the tank? He had a good second half last year. He's been really good at the plate, and I can see the vision there where he helps this team more than we think. So I'm very willing to admit that I'm wrong, and so far he's been a lot better than I thought he would be. And he's playing great defense at first base. The glove looks really good. He made some excellent plays again on Saturday. I think he had a couple of nice plays yesterday, and he continues to play good first base all year. So he very much reminds me of DJ LeMahieu so far. This lineup is pretty fun too. The lineup's been pretty fun. The offense that the Yankees have been producing has been consistent. You're seeing flashes of what they can do. It's not fully put together yet, obviously. But especially once we get into the thick of the season where the weather's better and it's the summertime and all, I think it's there. I think it can be there. Game 2, again, we saw them string together hit after hit after hit against Jordan Hicks. And that's the idea of this lineup, right? It's to use their depth and their balance. But a lot of guys are capable of attacking you in different ways. They're a patient hitting team. Sometimes I think they take a little too much pitches in the zone. But they've been producing power. They've been getting on base. They've been hitting for average. I got my concerns about left-handed relieving, how they're going to manage those lanes, and I think they need a righty outfielder at some point, obviously third base, but they're a fun lineup to watch. Dominguez is an exciting offensive player to watch. He was flying around the bases in this series once again Saturday, Sunday. I think Dominguez is an elite left-handed hitter. I'm impressed with what he does on the left side of the plate. He takes the ball where it's pitched. If it's going outside, he'll go to the opposite field. Breaking ball, he'll shoot it to left. He's hitting line drives. Ground balls that find holes. Beating out ground balls, getting a head start from the left side. So far this year, he's batting 385. 385 with a 1022 OPS in 26 at-bats from the left side of the plate. So I wish there was more opportunity from him to hit from the left side. I wish the Yankees would go to him more from the left side, where he's best at, instead of forcing switch hitting onto him. Because that's why the overall numbers don't look pretty good. The overall numbers on Dominguez's season might look lackluster, but that's because right now he's facing a similar amount of lefties as righties. And obviously, that's going to change over the course of the season. That's how baseball is. It's right-handed dominant. So he will be facing more righties, at least starting pitching, which should, in theory, help uptick his numbers overall. Right? Actually, the Yankees have an upcoming stretch where they're facing a lot of right-handed starting pitching. So I think that's why the overall numbers don't look good, is just because he's faced an unusual amount of lefties so far, which is going to change because that's how baseball is. You don't face lefties every day. The Yankees have so far faced like 2 lefties every series. But yeah, he's been a fun watch. I'm not really concerned when I look at his baseball StatCast. The peripherals aren't good at all. I'm not concerned about that because, again, I think a lot of that is from the right side where I don't think he'll last. And I also think it's a very small sample to really look at that and get a true taste of what he is. So I'm not really looking at that stuff yet. Volpe, sure, he is definitely cooled off with his stick. He's not batting over 300 like he was earlier in the year. He's hitting a little bit less. But what I love is for a little bit now during this stretch where he's not hitting, he's not letting that impact him. Right? He's still walking. His walks have taken a big uptick lately. He's had now 5 consecutive games where he's drawn a walk. And 6 out of 7 games with the walk. Overall in the year, he's got a 13% walk rate. That's good. To see him spit on some tough pitches and consistently still get on base, even though the bat's not there right now, that's what we saw in the postseason. The eye that he had. So I think that's important to look at. Wells and Jazz have been struggling. There was some life in this series from each of them, right? Wells had the almost home run on Friday, which turned into an RBI double. He had another hit on Saturday. Jazz had the home run yesterday. Hopefully that gets him going. But yeah, some of the lefties need to get going. Wells, Jazz, Bellinger. Bellinger's been... And again, hopefully he showed some kind of life with that triple, but some of these guys need to start hitting. But Ben Rice, a lefty that's been hitting. As a matter of fact, I'm going to tip my cap to Ben Rice. Because I think Ben Rice was the best Yankee of this series. Ben Rice against the Giants in 3 games. Went 3 for 10 with a 10-17 OPS. Picked up a home run, 2 RBIs, 2 walks. Scored 2 runs, struck out 3 times. 6 total bases. Ben Rice continues to look very good, folks. The long at-bats. He's seeing a ton of pitches. He's mashing pitches inside the zone, and he's not chasing a ton outside the zone. That plus that equals success. That's why you go to his StatCast, and it's off the charts right now. It is a sea of red. He is 100th percentile, which means he's the best in the league. When you look at his expected weighted on base, his expected slugging, his exit velo, his barrel, and his hard hit percentages. 100th percentile in all of them entering yesterday. That's good to see. And that was the big thing about him in camp. He was ripping the ball hard. So, some of the bigger keys that I wanted to see from Ben Rice entering the season was, one, I wanted him to pull the ball in the air. I wanted him to see how he would hit versus lefties. And I wanted to see if he could figure out off speed. Well, the numbers entering yesterday, he's pulling the ball in the air 11% more than the league average hitter is. Very good to see that. He has so far a 738 OPS against lefties. Now, the on-base percentage is still low against lefties, but the slug is very high. Good. So you checked off 2 out of 3 boxes so far. You get to that third box, he still struggles with off-speed and breaking pitches. Entering yesterday, he had an .058 batting average with a 52% K rate in 21 plate appearances. So that's going to be the last step for him. He is a dead fastball hitter right now. Once pitchers realize this and they adjust, they will be giving him a heavier diet of off speed, and he's going to have to adjust back. So that's going to be the key to his consistency, figuring out how to handle off speed. But right now I'm enjoying the Ben Rice ride, and I think there's enough there to where he can sustain success and be an above average hitter at the very least this year. Now the big picture question this year is where does he fit when Giancarlo returns? I don't want to, I see people discussing that already. I don't want to dive into that now because a lot of things between now and then can and will change. It's not until Stanton said he's not back until at least Memorial Day. So it's like the whole Luis Hill, Garrett Cole thing last year, right? Luis Hill was so good in the first half. That's all we were talking about. When guys return, how are you going to take them out? You can't take them out, this and that, and it eventually worked out. So it's dumb to talk about this whole Rice-Stanton thing right now because injuries happen, because underperformance happens, etc. Things happen. But the kid looks legit. And if he is legit, it's a good reminder to those who treat these players like they're statistical models, right? These are not robots. Each player has unique skills and nuance that deserves thoughtful analysis, right? We talked about this entering the season. We need to look past surface level statistics sometimes. Just because a guy hit 190 in 30 games, it doesn't mean he's not going to have a good career. You got to look at the baseball stuff to find a player's true value. Dive into the details of it. What are his skills? What does he do well? What does he not do well? How's his swing path? What's his bat speed? What's his discipline looking like? What is the approach? That's what I think people need to focus more on. Instead of just looking at Baseball Reference and see that he didn't produce good results in a small sample. I think that's dumb for a young player to say he's not going to pan out because he didn't have the greatest start results-wise to his career. I think that's crazy. And I think Ben Rice could be a walking example of that if he does continue this success. So Ben Rice, 3 cap tips? Is that right? He's already got 3 cap tips this year? Did I just see that? 2. Sorry. I was going to say 2. But that's pretty good. He's off to a good start. Where do we want to go now? Oh, yeah. Will Warren. Let's talk Will Warren because Will Warren had a good start. Obviously, it didn't look good for Will Warren after his last start, but he rebounded on Saturday. And he goes 5 innings, 2 runs, 2 hits, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts. Gives up 1 home run, throws 91 pitches, and he picks up his first major league victory. His stuff looked real good in this game. Looked really, really good. Filthy with Sharp and late break. Filthy with Sharp and late break. His location was on point. He was front hits. Fucking Christ, I can't speak. His location was on point. He was going front hip sweeper to righties. Backdoor 2-seamers to righties. Backdoor sweepers to lefties. That's going to be key for him to get lefties out. Going backdoor with that slider. Dropping both of those pitches in. 2-seam sweeper for called strikes. Got a lot of swing and miss with the sweeper. That sweeper's got a lot of break, but it's got tight spin. They were doing some slow-mo replays. You could see. Really cool pitch to watch. And he got a lot of swing and miss with the 4-seam also. Mixed in the occasional curveball to lefties again. And the only trouble that he had in this game was at the top of the second inning. The Yankees are up 2-0. Ramos picks up a leadoff double on him. It's a 93-mile-an-hour 4-seamer up over the zone. Again, hitters can slug that pitch today. Not a good enough pitch. And then Flores with the 2-run home run. It's a 93-mile-an-hour 2-seamer low in the zone. Ties the game at 2. Again, it wasn't really a bad pitch. Maybe it was a little up. But you throw, low velo like that inside the zone, it's going to get hit. But he retired 10 consecutive after that. And a lot of those 10 straight outs were second time through the order, which was promising. But that's the thing. Like the big picture, with Will Warren, who is he? Is he a frontline starter? Is he a number 3? Is he a number 5? Well, he's definitely not a frontline starter. Okay, anybody who thinks Will Warren's going to turn into an ace, I think that's a bit far-fetched. It's a bit far-fetched, but I got to figure out what he is. I do think he's a major league pitcher. I don't know if he's more than a number 5 yet. Just because, like, I think the sweeper is major league caliber. I think the changeup has potential to where it can help him get lefties out if he locates it. And, the curveball right now is just get me over, but that's also going to help him pitch tunnel versus lefties with the changeup and two-seam. But I don't know if he is more than a borderline rotation arm just yet because, like, I worry about the stuff long-term. The fastball doesn't get enough velocity to get through the order 2 and 3 times yet. Right? He gets whiffs inside the zone, but Will Warren's stuff doesn't get a ton of chase because hitters aren't really afraid of the fastball, so they're going to spoil his off speed. The fastball gets results because he uses it late in counts. So I think once hitters start to adjust, we're going to see some of those troubles. So I don't know if he has the stuff to be more than a solid number 5. But I do think there's enough there in his pitch mix to where he can be a major league pitcher. And I need to see more. We are early into his Yankees career, and that's really all we can evaluate so far. But Will Warren, another really good outing for him, and 2 cap tips. It's the second time we've tipped our cap to Will Warren, so good for him. Let's go to our pal Devin Williams, who has already been kind of controversial with Yankees fans. Started in camp when he bitched about the beard policy. But Devin Williams earned his first cap tip, in my opinion, this series. Now, he wasn't perfect on Saturday. He comes in. It's a non-save situation. He puts runners on second and third with nobody out to start off. Twitter fingers are already in motion. Right, he walks Yastrzemski. No feel for the four-seamer. He gives up a double to Adames. Leaves a couple of 92-mile-an-hour four-seamers up in the zone. So the four-seam fastball was not working. Puts 2 on, no outs. Gives it up. And he starts spamming that screwball for the next 2 at-bats. Picks up 2 strikeouts in a row very easily. Then he gets Ramos to ground out to end the game on a changeup. Middle of the zone, but he gets him to pound it into the dirt. So, ends up getting out of it. And it was nice to see the emotion. I think that was the most important part of that, is you could see he kind of just took a deep breath and he was just, you could see the energy there. It was important for him. You could tell that he wanted that bad, and I'm happy he got out of it. But I think this guy's filthy. I think that airbender pitch, changeup, screwball, whatever you want to call it, I think it's a filthy pitch. All right. And listen, people were on edge. People are still on edge. And I have a lot of concerns with this Yankees team. Devin Williams, through 4 appearances, is not one of them. I think this guy is one of the best relief pitchers in baseball, if not the best. And I think he has one of the best pitches in baseball, if not the best, in that screwball. I'm not concerned about Devin Williams, who has, 5 big league seasons under his belt, where he's just consistently posting 1 ERAs. Sorry, I can't join you on that yet. I think he'll be fine. He's got a history of slow starts. Relax. It's April 14th. So that was important to see him do that and kind of get the monkey off his back. Hopefully we get some dominant 1-2-3s coming up. Now, regarding the bullpen and the rotation and the pitching staff as a whole, They mentioned it at the end of the Sunday game yesterday. The Yankees are walking a lot of batters, and they kind of alluded to it, that it has something to do with fastball confidence, but they didn't really lean into it as hard, Kane O'Neill, as much as I wanted them to, and nobody's really mentioning it. But, they talked about Yankees pitching this year walking a lot of batters. And you watch this pitching staff, again, rotation, bullpen, they have to work so hard just to generate outs. They're just long at-bats, deep counts. They're first in baseball in walks per 9. They're third in baseball in pitches per plate appearance. And they're also 29th in fastball velocity. So I don't think it's a coincidence that those first two statistics are what they are, with that final statistic there being what that is. I don't think that's a coincidence. And again, the Yankee broadcast team just mentioned it had something to do with fastball confidence. They didn't really get into velo. But I do think, while it might not be it might not be 100% of the reason why they're walking batters, I think the Yankee pitching staff not having velocity is definitely a big reason why they're walking a lot of batters. Right? They're also allowing the 9th most home runs in baseball because there's no heat in their back pocket. They are prone to hanging breaking balls because the more you throw a breaking ball, the more you're prone to throwing a bad one. That's just math. Or, when your back's up against the wall and the bases are loaded and you got a 3-0 count in a tie game, you need to throw a fastball. Well, you're going to groove a mediocre 90-mile-an-hour fastball now to a major league power hitter, middle. So I think it's important that the Yankees get some velo in this bullpen, and that's where they kind of screwed up in the offseason, in my opinion. And I think that should be an area of emphasis in a couple of months when they get to the trade deadline. Stroman's got home run problems. Rodon obviously has home run problems. Will Warren, Carlos Carrasco. Because none of those guys have an elite fastball in terms of velocity. Even in the bullpen, Leiter and Cruz have been pretty good outside the 1 and 2 appearances where they gave up some hard hit home runs. But those 1 or 2 appearances where where things went awry, you could attribute that to not having heat in their back pocket to rely on. Right? So the big home runs or the walks, that's how that happens. You're not confident in your fastball, so you're going to throw pitches that move a lot and are outside the zone, and you're going to walk guys. And when you do have to throw a fastball, you're going to give up a hard hit ball because it's not a great pitch. Mark Leiter Jr., is throwing a ton of first pitch curveballs this season. I think that's for a reason. So I love Matt Blake. I love what he's doing, getting these guys to lean into their off speed. But I don't think it's sustainable to just spam your off speed and throw slop. It doesn't help that I'm watching this series against the Giants and they've got guys throwing 98-mile-an-hour sinkers and 2-seamers all series long. And we got guys like this. Again, good stuff, but there's no velo. Even Luke Weaver, he was consistently sitting 97 in October last year. He's down to 92, 93 this year. That's an issue because his changeup is supposed to play off his heat. So it's the bullpen, and hopefully Loaisiga is healthy and he's right by June, and we can get him because he's the only guy in their bullpen capable of touching triple digits with his fastball. But it's also the rotation. You can't survive with 2/5 of your rotation having stuff that's not major league quality in Stroman and Carrasco. And you can't survive with one guy in there who throws his fastball a ton, but it's got very middling velocity and it gets poor results, and Carlos Rodon. So I think Lasagna is going to play an important role. I think Luis Heel is going to play an important role. And Clark Schmidt is due to come back. He's not a velo guy, but he's got great stuff. So you replace Stroman with Clark Schmidt, that's a boost in itself. But that's it regarding this Giants series. with that said, we're going to head to a break, get back, wrap it up, talk about what's coming up next for this team tonight. We'll be right back. Stay with us here on BD4. BD4 is available on social media for those who want to follow. You can find BD4 on Instagram at BD4Pod. You can find us on X at BD4Pod. And you can find us on Facebook by simply searching BD4. Hey guys, just a quick reminder, this podcast is also available in video format on YouTube. So be sure to go over to the YouTube channel, BD4, subscribe, like the videos, comment and tell me how much I suck or maybe how much you like the video. We'd very much appreciate it. Don't have time to sit down and watch a video? You can listen to BD4 on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Don't forget to give us a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts. And you can also watch the video format on Spotify too. If you feel like supporting the podcast, you can Venmo at Robert-Carbone-JR-28. We really appreciate your support. Do you enjoy Yankees baseball but are tired of hearing me yap? I have a suggestion for you. Go check out Yankee Crazy Podcast. Greg Gill is a Yankees podcaster on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and he's now selling merch. Go to yankeecrazy.myshopify.com. Stay connected with us. Visit BD4blog.com to explore our blog, tune into our latest podcasts, and follow us on social media. Thank you for being a part of this community. Okay, so for that, Jesus Christ, man. Sometimes I talk before I think. It just comes out as garbage. Up next for the Yankees, they've got the Kansas City Royals. That series starts tonight. 3 more games in the Bronx before they go to Steinbrenner. But they got the Royals for 3. The Royals are off to a very bad start as well. They're only 8-8. Their pitching has been really good. Their lineup has been awful. So the Yankees should take advantage of that with Fried going in this series. And hopefully they can. The Royals obviously this is the first time they're meeting since the postseason. So maybe there'll be a little juice there. But that's it. And we will wrap this one up now with our trivia. Okay, so true or false on this one. This is obviously entering this past series. In the last series between the Yankees and in the last 2 series between the Yankees and Giants, the Yankees have swept. Is that true or false? So entering this past weekend, in the last 2 series between the Yankees and Giants, the Yankees have swept. Is that true or false? That's it. I gotta go. Wrapping this one up here. Appreciate you all tuning in. See you soon. Well, if you made it this far, that means you listened to or watched the entire episode. Thank you. Just remember to follow, subscribe, download, rate and review, and all that fun stuff to help out the podcast. And I will see you in the next episode of BD4.